Advice for ViCi Gaming in this rematch, my advice would be expect it to go late game. Do not be scared of getting a little bit greedy in terms of if you get a good start, you know, a Midas could actually help you throughout, because you know the EG, they love it in late game, they hold on very well, and what they've been able to do when they trade evenly is always put up the best fight they can when it comes to team fights, and you've given them two big team fights, heroes, so ViCi Gaming need to be very careful about the late game.
And do you actually want to fight EG in that point, or do you want to try to avoid it and go for the more split push build, aka have RTK play the Nature's Prophet this time, for example?
There's still counters to the you know, the Enigma and Faceless Void. I still think Doom is a counter. I just felt that RTK needed to, you know, get that Midas, be able to get farm, because he could have had a refresher, he could have had a Shivas, you know, the game wasn't going bad. And one of the differences between these two teams that was very noticeable, Evil Geniuses will spend their gold. They're not afraid of being like, I've got my big item. They'd rather have the big item for the team fight than have the option of buying back. ViCi Gaming, on the other hand, a lot of the times they make sure they have a buyback, even on Super, even on Sylar, just so that they can defend if something goes wrong. It's the wrong attitude to take, I believe, when you're in such a tight game. I think EG played it perfectly by actually getting those big items, and when they came online, the team fights they won meant more, just for XP maybe.
I think saving for buyback makes sense if the enemy is knocking at your door, because the possibility of buying back and just re-engaging straight away, or maybe on a hero like Nature's Prophet or Spectre that can really come back. But in general, if you're ahead and you're saving for buybacks, that's pretty much saying, okay, if you have a 5k gold advantage, you actually have no advantage at all, because that 5k gold is gold that you're not using because you're just saving for buyback.
Yeah, it's very, like, having the buyback on Nature's Prophet's fine, just because you want to get back into the fight, and if you get caught out, you can go down very quickly. But I think Super should have ended up spending a little bit more gold. Anyway,
looking at the lineup, ViCi has drafted Venomancer second pick, which is pretty unusual, but this leads me to believe that they're going to go for like a very summon and ward-based push. And if Evil Geniuses mess up one of their ultimates early, Faceless Void's Chrono is on a very long cooldown level 1, as is Enigma. So if they just miss one big team fight, I think ViCi can completely take advantage of it and get a T3.
Yeah, Shadow Shaman is actually still in the pool as well, talking about pushing supports, pushing heroes. Death Prophet was one of the bans that EG went for, as well as the Lich, which is maybe not your typical push support, but surprising that Shadow Shaman rather is still in. Did I say Shadow Demon before? No.
It's fine. You say Shadow Shaman. You say Shadow Shaman. I still, I agree with what James said on game 2. I still want to see the Skywrath Mage coming from EG. They've
also
done
Wraith King.
Wraith King as well. Those two supports, they've done really, really well. Skywrath Mage is 8-2 for them, and Wraith King is 5-1. So if they decide to ring them, they're really, really good for them. But then again, just both these heroes. Okay, you have Venomancer, you pop the Poison Nova on the Wraith King that's chasing after you because he has reincarnation. How much can you commit to killing a support? Wraith King brings so much that it's really, really good in these kind of scenarios.
Yeah, we've got the Weaver and the Viper both banned out, of course. Don't want to have a repeat of the previous game. So EG, how are they going to try and repeat last game's result with different heroes? Which different heroes do you think they should go for then?
Well, they can always go for some of the same supports they went for last game. Alchemist, they just need some damage to dump into Faceless Void ultimate and some way to secure his farm. I think that's very important for EG to not pick super passive supports, or at least not two of them.
Yeah, we saw actually Mirana banned last game instead of the Viper, so picked up probably PPD hero, but might as well be Masons as well. They both play it.
It's amazing, Mirana, and ViCi Gaming immediately takes the Shadow Demon. One has to wonder if it's to stop EG from getting that combo, which I don't think it happens, because with the Enigma already, I mean, yeah, you still have a support, so it might be a respect kind of ban pick, because we haven't seen ViCi Gaming use this hero at all today, and if you look at the kind of aggressive pushing lineup, unless you have a hero that will go intense stats like Morphling or Anti-Mage, it just doesn't help you that much.
If I was ViCi Gaming, I would actually be pretty happy getting, you know, DK and also the Doom, same as last time.
Definitely a possibility. I think for ViCi, the Shadow Demon is going to be really tricky for me, because of course it can save people, that's great, but if you actually save one of your own teammates, it is actually very easy for Mirana to land an arrow on the target that you're trying to save, which, you know, might mess up your plan. So that's going to be something that needs to be really controlled and pretty risky.
The other good thing about that, or the other thing that Shadow Demon can bring, is the Purge, but the Purge doesn't really matter too much with the Enigma, because you cannot cancel the Black Hole with that one specification. And EG brings a Timber Saw, and it's a Universe Timber Saw. Now, to get into the Faceless Void of the Enigma, this kind of works in the same way as Karat Mage does. If you have a stationary enemy, that enemy is going to take so much damage. And Leshrac, Shadow Demon, Venomancer, Nature's Prophet, squishy, squishy.
And just Tibasaur actually takes up a lot of attention in the team fights in terms of it's able to initiate, which actually allows for better timed ultimates from the Enigma, but mainly the Faceless Void. It's important to, we saw it last time. Zai was kind of the distraction, and then everyone was like, oh, we forgot Faceless Void, Chrono. The universe gets free, and then they get the team wipe. So it is going to be a Venomancer ROTK we should be seeing on the off lane. We're looking for the mid hero for ViCi as we go into our last ban. Centaur's going to be banned out by Evil Geniuses. Shadow Demon and Leshrac, the support combo for ViCi, and now we're down to the final ban of ViCi Gaming. We'll see what they're going to remove.
I like the Timbersaw pick though. I think they need to put pressure on Nature's Prophet like they did in Game 2. I think Sylar ended the game with 11 deaths in Game 2 as opposed to 0 in Game 1, and that was a lot to do with Mason just getting a solo kill on him instead of Universe giving up first blood. So I think Timbersaw, great here.
The center ban is really also so smart because if you see this, essentially if you get a Stampede, you can run away from the Timber, so you can run away from pretty much the Enigma and the Faceless Void. Suddenly it becomes so much harder to land all those skills. Without that, they pretty much have no way to counter all these lockdown that they have in area of effect for Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, the mobility of EG right now surpasses that of ViCi, which is good because in the early game I think ViCi has the upper hand. They've got those supporting heroes, well not really in the case of Venomancer this time, but they've got those heroes with a very high early game impact. If they get a grip on EG, they'll probably be able to take a kill, but EG, they've got leaps, they've got time loop blocks, they've got Timbersaw, Timber Chains, and only Enigma might be kind of susceptible to a kill, but to a gank, but he is going to be in his jungle. So also not really an easy target to kill, which is going to kind of maybe mess ViCi up here in this in the early game of this game.
So last ban coming up from ViCi will be a Naga Siren. So the question is, what will Arteezy be playing? Most of his heroes has been banned out. Tinker, Naga, Viper, Razor. Maybe Ember?
It could be.
Ember could be a really nice pick here.
Yeah, we haven't really seen him play it too much in 6.81B.
Well, we're going to have an Alchemist, so we'll see if they're going to juggle this around a little bit. But yeah, ViCi Gaming, they need to get a really good laning phase. They can do so, but if they get a hold of the laning phase, they can definitely put down the first set of towers. If they do not, Evil Geniuses can just potentially, from the look of it, can run them over.
Would they go all in, Hugna?
I mean, what's taking up space for ViCi's lineup? What's kind of out there at the front saying, you can't get to my supports? Right. They don't have that. It might just end up being a Dragon Knight just so you can have something at the front lines. But, then your Dragon Knight's only really backed up by a Shadow Demon when that Chrono comes. And if it's not successful, you lose your Dragon Knight, you're pretty much going to lose the rest of your lineup.
I like the Pugna pick too. They can just have Nether Ward and Plague Wards as well as Nature's Prophet Treants, and you can't really walk up the bed. There's so much stuff to actually get through. And again, Evil Genius' wave clear is not the greatest.
Yeah. ViCi Gaming need to bring. Yeah, I'd agree. Having the shot. They're going to go with the Dragon Knight. It's certainly a lot of pressure.
Yes.
A lot of pressure for the supports actually of ViCi Gaming. This Shadow Demon and the Shrine combo, Fenrir and also FY are going to have to do wonders if ViCi want to make it to the grand finals. Of course they can. Sylar's going to pick up his Nature's Prophet. He's been playing great on that thus far. ROTK will take the Veno, and Arteezy will pick up the Alchemist mid, which does really well. So we're probably just see that Alchemist actually get items outside of the mech, because normally we see Zai pick it up and there's no fear of being doomed. So certainly Zai will have a good time. And also remember, tonight at 8:30 Pacific Central Time, I want to call it, we're on ESPN2 Live for the special preview show of the Grand Finals that we'll be having here at the panel, and that's also 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, it looks like the teams and the players have got a hold of their heroes and they'll be going into the game. So let's send it away one last time today and one last time before the Grand Finals. Who's going to go through and make it? We don't know yet, but I'm sure these guys have got something to say. It's LD and Cinderin.
Guys, welcome back to the commentary desk. We're live from Key Arena for the final game the one that decides who faces Newbee. Sind, it was electric in here after game 2, and we'll have to see if the same energy comes for game 3. ViCi Gaming absolutely crushed EG in game number 1. It wasn't even close. Game 2, a bit closer, but EG took it in the end, and now the deciding game 3. The winner plays tomorrow in a $6.5+ million match. That much money at stake for one best of 5. Who's going to get the right to play? We'll just have to wait and see.
I want to point out a couple of things to begin with that I think the panel were very correct about. The first thing, Merlini said that the Timber Saw is a great pick here. I think it's fantastic. When they picked it, I was like, okay, there are 3 targets that don't have a single stun or silence and are very fragile heroes, so that's great. And after that, ViCi even picked the Leshrac, who, yes, he does have a stun, but it's pretty hard to land on a Timber Saw, so I'm expecting Universe to have a great game if he gets off to a good start. That's the first thing. The second thing is, EG are picking something that I believe DK have tried 2 or 3 times in this tournament, and they lost with it every single time. Void together with Timbersaw. These 2 heroes don't have great synergy. You Chronosphere people, but a lot of Timbersaw's AoE damage comes from going through them. You go in with the Whirling Death, you go in with the Timber Chain, but the only thing you can hit in the Chrono is the Chakram. So we'll see if EG can execute it a little bit better. I would like to say that these 2 heroes together on the same team haven't won a single game at the main event, so I also think I've only seen DK do it though, so it could just be DK not having their best performances with that combination. But
on paper, it can be a very strong combo if the follow-up's there. Like, just getting the Chakram out is still decent damage in the Chrono. If you get an Alk stun on 2 or 3, a Mirana arrow comes in, maybe you channel Black Hole, that can be enough, but we'll hold that thought as currently ViCi Gaming are looking for first blood, and they might find another PPD. Caught out, will the stun be there? The Dragon Tail to start, now the splitter to follow, and ViCi, 68% first blood rate. You can kick that up a few percentage points, because once again, they strike first.
that was a perfectly executed first blood. PPD even skilled Leap during the disruption, so now he doesn't have arrow for what should probably be 1.5 minutes or so until he pulls himself level 2, but he can't pull, because that's blocked. So ViCi off to a great start. Another thing the panel pointed out is that ViCi are all in aggression in this game. They don't have a late game security once again. This time, even more pressure. This is reminding me of the game earlier today against Team DK when they played heavy aggression with the Pugna instead of the Dragon Knight, I believe, in that game. And that was another thing they said. They could have gone for the Pugna. It's curious for me that they chose the Dragon Knight over that in this particular game. Pugna is great against the Timber Saw, great against Enigma, very high mana cost heroes. They would have had Decrepify against the Void as well. But we'll see how the Dragon Knight for Super works out. By the way, let's talk about the lanes. So top lane for ViCi Gaming, it's going to be ROTK on the Venomancer. The roaming support duo for ViCi are Fenrir and FY on Shadow Demon and Leshrac respectively. Mid lane will be Super on the Dragon Knight, and finally bottom lane, Sylar is trying out a new hero in this game. He's going to be playing safe lane Nature's Prophet.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. Never seen that before. But well, in EG, we're going to see the Faceless Void, but it's not in Universe's hands. It's actually in Mason's. They might make a move here towards top. PPD playing the support Mirana. Mid is Arteezy on the Alchemist. They haven't really committed to anything just yet. Zai, once again, if you ward his jungle, he'll just go for the Ancient, and he's taking up the role once again of the Enigma. And that does leave Universe bottom lane as the Star-Crossed Timber Saw so far, but I still think it can be a fantastic hero this game. The only way they can really shut him down is if they manage to farm like an Orchid on the Prophet, but that's looking a lot later on into the game.
Tipper also is one of the good laners against Nature's Prophet. The harassment from the Treants is kind of irrelevant when you've got the reactive armor. It just gives you more armor and more regen when he tries to harass you. Very easy farming for him as well. And in this offlane kind of position, Prophet, yes, he does have the teleport to get out, but no stun and no silence. When Universe reaches level 6, he can bully Nature's Prophet out of the lane. And at this current moment, Sylar is not feeling confident going up against Universe right now. He's hanging out in the jungle with a couple of supports missing from EG. He's nervous right now, or maybe he just wanted to get this pull and get the equilibrium back. Yeah,
wants to be near his tower, I imagine, so the Timber Saw can't chase him down. And well, speaking of those supports, Zai doesn't have a smoke yet, and he's pretty much out of mana, so unlikely to be ganking early. He's getting close to killing off a few of these neutrals, which should give him level 2. And PPD also, the only impact he's really had was revealing that one smoke so far, but there is great setup for Arrow later on. You've got Black Hole, Alk Stun, and then of course the Chronosphere. So bottom lane, dive on Sylar. There's going to be a Timber Chain number 1. He can go for more, and he will. Can get off some right clicks here as well. Right around the tree, and he's got reactive armor. He goes through. Sylar though, self-sprout, and Universe can't finish the job. Oh, maybe he can. No mana. He has to back.
very close to the first blood, showing the potential of this lane already.
Mid lane, they wanted to go on Arteezy, but there's an arrow that came through from the north for PPD that ended any hopes of the
Radiant's
dive.
bottom tower is under attack.
And this ward, there's a ward just north of the mid lane, and it really works well against this dual roam combo, and it might be the best possible ward for them. They don't actually see the rune, but PPD can be scouting those from now on, and if you want to go on Arteezy, you pretty much have to smoke from here on out. Otherwise, you're never catching him by surprise. And when they tried to gank a bit earlier, when they were missing in the woods and they got spotted, he just started farming the enemy neutral, so I like the way EG are moving around to kind of dodge as much of this pressure as possible.
Yeah, they know that if they just get off to a decent start and get some farms so they can start defending their towers, they're going to be fine. And one of the weaknesses of EG's draft in the previous game that they still did win, that they don't have this time around, they have better wave clear. They have Chakram, which is very good, together with the Timber Chain, of course. They even have Starstorm when Mirana hits higher levels. And yeah, they had the Alchemist in the previous game, but this time he's in a core position, so the Acid Spray will be level 4 earlier. There are a lot more tools for EG to play around with this time, and it puts more pressure on ViCi to be quick about getting the towers down. I like their rotation.
Oh, they're going for it. They're looking for Mason. He's been blocked in by a ward, and he will be forced off the lane. They can't get the kill, but this will keep him off the tower. And they prevent the creeps from getting towards it, so ViCi looking at a very early tier 1. If they really want, they can bring in the Prophet. But they haven't done it just yet. They want him to hold the line. He's actually going mid, and into mid they will go. But, well, can't find much. Now, Auction, Arrow not available, already been used.
Dire's top
So they won't
tower
actually get the TP in, and this will take the tier 1 down. ViCi Gaming, as you would expect with their draft. We'll strike first, but bottom lane, it's Sylar being dove. Universe, he's thrown out one nuke, now throws out a shotgun as well. He's just constantly being terrorized. He'll be forced to TP out. He's going to make it out safely. No, maybe not. He's canceled it. Universe could go back in once he gets the mono.
Checks the mono on Universe and realizes there's no trees around him.
Mid lane.
It's pretty much entire forest.
Oh, no, got the illusions.
Got him.
Yeah, he really crushed those illusions. But that will clear out the lane a bit, and Sin, it's nice to get this early tier 1 for ViCi, but it's something EG are kind of expecting with this draft. They're going to lose towers, and it's just all about biding time, getting the big ults online, and then looking to turn. So
I think the bigger deal for ViCi is that Zai is level 2. He's
That's
2.5 minutes 6. He hasn't really been able to get anything. He stacked the jungle for Arteezy, or the Ancients rather.
I think
so because of that, he couldn't farm it anymore.
He stacked the Ancients very early, and I'm not sure if he intended to, but it makes it hard to keep the Eidolons alive when you get 2 Ancient stacks at once this early. ViCi are looking for something. Actually, DG are going to scout them out first. PPD's here. Is there a disruption? Alex also waiting on the high ground. Arteezy wants to go in. And now they leap forward. Arrow thrown is off the mark. They can still go for an Alch stun here. They could have done it the other way and just waited. But they might get Fenrir regardless. Disruption.
Oh,
nicely done.
Nice play.
And he'll make it out.
Don't think they would have killed Arteezy anyway. Prophet was thinking about porting in there, but...
And now they're taking the bottom lane to RTK, so they're actually leaving this top lane empty, Sin. They can start pressuring another tier 1, but this means, yeah, you shut down Mason early, but he's already doubled his CS. He had 6 CS about 4 minutes in, and he's now up to 12. So where do they go next? They're smoking. They want to go bottom, it looks.
The main story for me of this game is still that
Dire's
the bottom lane is going very well for Universe. This is a great Timbersaw game, as I pointed out earlier. The only ability he really needs to be careful with is the Dragon Knight, Dragon Tail, after he's used his ultimate. But he put a lot of pressure on the Prophet, and because of that, Sylar hasn't had the greatest early game in this series. And Universe is level 7, so 4 points in Timber Chain and 1 point Chakram will allow them to defend the tier 2s. I think EG's strategy here is they're going to concede the tier 1s. They don't want to fight for them, they just want to get their levels up and try to hold the bigger towers. And then they just have to perform on those. 1 or 2 misplays could cost them the entire game, because ViCi has a lineup that just punishes mistakes really hard.
Well, they have level 2 Acid Spray from the Alchemist, and they also have the level 7 Timbersaw. So they have decent wave clear, and as we talked about, they want to get their levels. They've got it on Mason. He's level 7 on the Void, and he can join these fights with Chrono. He's actually already picked up a TP scroll and has full mana, so they may even contest with this tier 2 bottom if ViCi choose to force the issue. And for now, ViCi, just wait for some core items to come out. They've picked up the mech now on RTK, just needs to deliver it to himself. And that will obviously add a lot to them, especially against Alk and his minus armor. They're also going to ward off the Ancients now, so they'll try and deny this as much as possible to EG. And mid lane, Universe just starts to threaten a bit, but all he can do is force Sylar towards his own tower. They're getting a lot of time to farm though, EG, and I'm curious to see when do ViCi go for their next aggressive.
They really need that time though. And I was very surprised when I checked out the gold graph. They're more than 4,000 ahead. I know they've taken 2 towers, but still. It's against a team with Enigma jungling, but ViCi has had arguably his slowest leveling in the entire tournament in this game. He got countered out, then he stacked the Ancients and hasn't been able to find a footing just yet. ViCi are in a position now where they could probably take the mid-tier 1 for free, and then the question is where do they go from there? At the same time, Veno with the very early mech coming out, highest farm on the board as well for RRTK, level 7, almost level 8, probably going to grab the... either going to grab the Poison Nova or a third point in Poison Sting, just for more powerful wards. I think EG will need a good team fight. It's not enough just to get a mediocre one or to just hold their towers, because, well, they aren't going to hold their towers if they don't get a great team fight, so ViCi are going to force them into making a big play here.
Well, they're going to go for it now with Arteezy TPing in. They've got an Outstun available. He can start to channel this, and in they come with more. They're Viridian the Void, but he gets Dragon Tailed immediately. Can they follow it up? He doesn't have much lockdown to go with him now. A 2-hero Chrono comes in, and they try to focus super down. RRTK, clipped by Narrow. He couldn't get off the mech. That could have turned the fight. Do they buy back on this Dragon Knight? He doesn't actually have it. They'll lose Mason for this, it looks. Backtrack not enough. But they hold the tower for now. Denied. Nope. The Prophet gets it. And EG now on the run. Well, Timber Chain out. Universe, not much to stop him from doing that. And the Chrono is down. But Zai is actually, well, he's got Black Hole if he wants to skill it. He can go home and heal and then join the push.
It's important for EG that they don't commit Zai to that defense. He needs time. And them managing to get a 1-for-1 trade and still lose the tower, I think is one of the best things that could happen right now. The big team fight that they have to win needs to come soon with Zai involved, but that was not the right time for it. It has to be on the next tower. And that's going to happen within the next 2 minutes. I don't imagine ViCi just sitting back and farming and leaving. They want to just go again.
Yeah, and you can see that with the item selection. Super on the Dragon Knight is going for drums, and it's really not a very common item to see on Dragon Knight. It's normally you go straight BKB, occasionally Shadow Blade if you're running more of like a gank-oriented lineup, but to see drums here, just it speaks to the urgency that ViCi Gaming have. And following that up, well, they're going to have a point booster for RTK. He comes with a haste, they bring in the Prophet as well. We're going to go against it, and it's something Merlini touched on during the draft. His Chronosphere level 1 has a 2-minute cooldown. That's a long time to go without it. So this tier 2 bottom, it might just be a freebie.
It's already gone.
Can EG get kills?
Oh, maybe not, they have the glyph.
They have an outstun. They have an outstun.
Arteezy
Arteezy just dropped Acid Spray though. He doesn't even think about channeling his stun first, which suggests EG just want to stall as long as possible, but won't commit to this defense.
It's still going down now.
And it will fall.
They've bought a little bit of time, but what did they really get for it? They used the
Dyer's
glyph.
bottom tower
They're pressuring
has
can see the
fallen.
tower. And
They're pressuring top with Eidolons, but that's really
Radiant's
about
top
it.
tower is
Just
under
barely
attack.
chipping away. And now a Midas
Radiant
on the Leshrac. We saw this
structures
earlier
are
from FY. And he ended the game as one of the most farmed heroes on ViCi.
Leshrac is one of the supports that is greatest with farm, I would say. This hero can transition into an actual mid-game, I don't even know if we should call it semi-carry or actual carry. He can be very strong. He's not like other carries dealing physical damage, but has very heavy magical damage output. And getting a Midas allows him to transition into that, and it also gives him levels, which this hero benefits a lot from and really needs. So it's kind of an interesting support in the sense that it's extremely good for early aggression, but it falls off so heavily without farm. And this Midas build from FY is
EG are wrapping around through the woods, and they're going to find Super here to start off. He's got his ult, and the smoke won't succeed, and EG will be forced back.
At the same time, Sylar is pushing out the top lane. EG will have to make a move sometime soon.
And as soon as, if they move towards top, if they show anything here, you have to imagine ViCi goes straight in mid. But for now, looks like he'll back off. He's a little bit nervous about all the missing heroes on the map, and
Smoke.
It'll be smoke from ViCi.
Being deployed here, they can of course just port in the Prophet and assist the fight right now. So technically 5 heroes are available no matter who they find and where. Drum being completed by Dragon Knight.
And it looks like EG might not reveal them this time.
It's so scary being EG right now. Your entire map control is falling apart, and any hero getting caught out pretty much results in a
Side straight onto the Enigma. Where's the Chrono for Mason? He's not even close, and they've just got to sack him. This probably means the tier 2 for free. Buyback not available, and probably not something. He did actually buy his mech before going down Sin, so he got a big item for EG, but they lose total control of their jungle, and they lose the tier 2 top. And they've only got one tier 2 left standing, and we're only 13 minutes in. Do they actually think about high ground? We saw this in game 1, though it was a little bit more one-sided for ViCi. It was the same approach. Just break the base before EG have a chance to come online. They're at least trying it now. Just testing EG, seeing how willing they are to engage. With the mech here, with the Chrono ready, they might leap in and catch ViCi off guard. Still searching for that opening. They're not going to find it, and ViCi will reset. They TP out, they leave some Plague Wards on the high ground just to give a bit of vision. And Arteezy's going to roll the dice.
Really bold.
And he goes for a
up
Midas.
Midas. You've lost 5 powers. I understand that you want to come back in the game and you want to have a way of recovering and making up for all the goals you don't have, but you know, with ViCi knocking on your front door, I think very few players would go for the Midas. And it's reminding me of another game we saw from EG. It was kind of the opposite scenario, but similar in a way, where EG was about to push the enemy base. They pick up a Midas on Mason, and they're like, great, now we have what we need to break the base.
Well, it's kind of the same thing here. It's like, oh, great, now we have what we need to go for a smoke gank.
Yeah.
They actually do have the mech on Zai, which is quite a big deal, but they're not headed that way. They're going into the pit. It's not a level 1 Roche sneak. So
one bold play to another, and they're basically playing a bait here with Mason currently in the top lane. This is not obvious at all. ViCi are probably thinking that
the jungle's empty though. The jungle is empty right now, and they've scouted a lot of that with the tree and condo line. But the Roche drops to about half HP. It's a very slow Roche, to be totally honest, and
but it's working out very well. ViCi have no idea this is going on right now, and they will just start pushing out of tier 2.
They see one top, they see the arrow mid, and they might actually pull this one off. They're just sneaking it slowly but surely. EG continue to work on the Roche, and the tier 2 is being pressured mid.
Yeah, they will be sacrificing this, but they would have lost that tower anyway, right? So it doesn't really matter for EG at this point. That one was a goner. At the very least, they get something.
They're still going. They're going to realize soon, but it's going to be too late. It looks like the Roche drops very low, dangerously low.
Really long.
It might take too long.
Going high ground.
They might start losing their tier 3 tower. The Roche almost dead, and ViCi still not committed to it yet. They actually will take the Roche. They get the Aegis, and they put it on Arteezy, and they back off immediately. So the Zap just went for a Midas.
Tier 3 already. It's down to less than half super.
Edict
Still a third of the corrosive breath remaining.
They're coming from the back. Arteezy's coming in here. He's got an out stun ready. And they Moonlight Shadow to begin the engagement, but Sentry gets dropped, and he gets stunned. He might stun himself here. Can he get it off? Chrono, 1 second, half a second. It's a self-stun. Aegis is going to melt. They lose it off the bat, and now the Poison Nova. Mason on the run. Zai as well. Back in 1 second. He gets it in time, but they keep on chasing. The Hasted Knight diving for Zai. Won't finish him off. He's forced back. They do bring down Arteezy a second time, and now they go for the high ground here. And they get more. They get the Enigma as well. ViCi are cracking open this EG base, and it's GG. They got too greedy, and ViCi punish it again. What a way to go out. ViCi has to be the best team in the tournament, punishing greed, bar none.
Yeah.
It's their ultimate strength.
They're amazing at early aggression and making the right calls and taking towers. If you put one of the most aggressive teams against one of the most greedy farming teams in the game, you will have short games like this, but for it to happen twice in the best of 3,